Am I the a-hole for canceling our honeymoon and considering divorce when my wife made out with a female friend at our wedding? I, 24 male, recently got married this last week to my wife, 24 female ex. Let's call her Sarah. Me and my wife have been together for 4 years and have only had one major issue. My wife is a drinker. She only drinks about once a week, but usually drinks way more than she can handle. When we first got together, I realized she has a habit of making out with random women when she is drunk. Now, I don't think this is sexy or exciting. I myself am bisexual, and I view this as cheating. After the second time I caught her about a few months into dating, I sat her down and told her that absolutely would not be okay as long as we were in a committed relationship. It took many conversations for her to understand that I was serious and viewed it as cheating. She promised to stop, but insists that she didn't cheat. She was good about cutting back on drinking and being more mindful of me. However, over the years, I caught her kissing 2 other women. Once, a random acquaintance, and last time, about 2 years ago, was with her best friend turned maid of honor, Brooke, female 24. Important piece of information. After I caught her the second time, I had a complete and total breakdown, and it took her coming to my therapy sessions and couples counseling for her to understand how badly she hurt me. I told her if it ever happens again, regardless of the circumstances, I was out. This brings us to the present. The wedding day comes around and it was perfect. Happiest day of our lives and whatnot. Then the reception. We, of course, got pretty drunk. Not blackout or belligerent, but definitely drunk. At some point, my wife asked me to get her pair of comfortable shoes. On my way back, I see my wife with Brooke's tongue down her throat in the middle of the dance floor with her other bridesmaids. I stomped my way into the reception, pushed Brooke out of the way, and said something along the lines of, "What the fuck are you doing?" At this point, everyone stopped and looked at us, and I just threw the shoes and walked out. Sarah chased me out, bawling hysterically. Since this has happened, I canceled our tickets and hotel reservation for our honeymoon, and I am strongly considering divorce. My lovely wife has gone from begging to crying to name calling. She ultimately decided I was a massive a-hole for embarrassing her at our wedding and throwing away our relationship over nothing. I think I'm just done this time. She's hurt me so many times and can't even see what she's doing wrong, so am I the a-hole? I know OP is bisexual, but I really want to know if his girlfriend is bisexual. Based off of him not specifying that, I think the answer is no. Yes, I think it's a little weird that this wife has this obsession with making out with other girls when she gets drunk. I don't really get it, but like, if there's no malice behind it, I think it's like, who cares? What I will say is that OP laid out his boundaries, and his boundaries were very clearly defined and emphasized to her with how important it was to him. So for her to do that, I think is unacceptable. Whether or not maybe he's overreacting, might have arguments towards it, but I don't think that's the problem. The problem is that they got in this relationship, they were getting married, and one of the non-negotiables of this relationship was you have to stop making out with other girls. And that didn't happen. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole here. I think it's very realistic. Is it common and maybe was there no malice behind it? Sure. If it makes you uncomfortable and you've communicated that, you shouldn't have to be with somebody who doesn't respect that. If you did that not at your wedding, maybe you had a little bit more of an argument. But at your wedding, bro, the only person you should be making out with is the person you just married. Am I the a-hole for not telling my wife I donated sperm before we started dating and she's more than likely not having my first child? I was in college about 15 years ago, and like every college student, I was low on cash. I was flipping through the school newspaper and I saw an ad for a sperm donation. It said something along the lines of no mental illness, no drugs, no alcohol, excellent physical shape, come make $500 a month. It sounded like a scam, but I went to the address and it was a legit doctor's office looking place. Everything looked legit, paperwork and all. Turns out, because of my grades, healthy lifestyle, being 6 foot tall, and so on, I actually got $650 a month coming in for regular donations. This was huge for me. Hell, my rent in those days for a townhouse was $450. I only did it for a year and never really told anyone about it. Just moved on with my life, no different than any other side gig. So boom, my wife and I have been trying for months to have a kid. Eventually, we end up getting pregnant, and it's a pretty exciting time for the both of us. Everything went bad and made all those donation memories I never really thought about come back in a flash when at the baby shower, one of my wife's friends bought a onesie for the baby that said, "Mom and Dad's firstborn, handle with care." I thought it was cute, but then it made me think, our baby probably isn't my firstborn. It ate at me for like a week. Then I told her about the sperm donation I did in college and how I'm pretty sure she's not having my first child. All all hell broke loose. She was furious, especially since we tried for so long before she could get pregnant. Said I lied to her. I don't see it like that. I've dated women before her, and I never thought to start out, "Hi, I'm Brandon, and I donated sperm 15 years ago," or that it would be a big deal. She's been sleeping at her sister's house for a week now. I'm leaning towards an everyone sucks here. I think the wife's reaction isn't productive at all. I think you're allowed to be like, "Hey bro, why the fuck didn't you tell me that way earlier?" But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it should matter. It seems very like caveman brain to be like, "I'm not the mother that birthed your first child." That just seems like not the end of the world. On the flip side, this is something that you don't just forget about. If you go into a relationship with somebody, it should come up eventually before you get married. Like, "Oh yeah, maybe one thing you should know is that I donated a lot of sperm back in college because I was low on cash, and in order to get my education and pay my rent, they were paying me $650 a month. I hope that's not going to be an issue." I think everyone sucks here for their different reasons. You win the worst possible timing award for the day. He could have announced this in the delivery room, so second worst? Third could have been when a 15-year-old shows up on their doorstep looking for medical information. Am I the a-hole for continuing to purposefully take a libido decreaser now that my wife has changed her mind? My 39 male, wife 40 female, and I have been married for 15 years. Had a fantastic sex life for 8 to 10 years, but then we got busy with kids and employment, and things sort of fizzled out to maybe once every 6 to 8 weeks. My sex drive isn't crazy high, but I'll be honest, 6 to 8 weeks was killing me. I felt like the list of things that had to be checked off my wife's list to get things going was impossible to fulfill. I feel like the list would go on and on as new excuses and reasons were added on why she just wasn't down for anything. I was by far the only initiator for the last few years and would get turned down 9 times out of 10. I work and my wife stays home with the kiddos, which works well for us. I attempted discussions with her about the situation and asked what else she needed from me, how we would spice things up, what we could do to increase our romance and intimacy, etc. The answer was always just that she never really thought about sex anymore and wasn't all that interested. I know it's not my place to pressure her into things she's not comfortable with, so after years of this, I eventually started to take care of myself, and she found out one day and flipped out about it. We had a conversation and she requested I didn't do that. I'm real non-confrontational, so I agreed, albeit made me frustrated and mildly depressed that we couldn't come to a middle ground. To make things worse, I had different women at work come onto me very strongly in the middle of all of this. I would never cheat, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't tempt me for a moment in my frustration. Eventually, I knew I needed to do something drastic to keep my marriage strong, and I got with my doc and started taking a medicine that decreases my libido significantly. I'll be honest, it's been very freeing. Now I hardly ever think about sex. My wife, however, is angry that I'm not physically coming after her and attempting to initiate, etc. like I did before. She asked me to stop taking it, and I flat out refuse. I love that I don't feel negative about the situation anymore because it doesn't preoccupy my mind like it did before. I honestly don't ever want it to go back to how it was before. Am I being an a-hole by sticking with it? The one thing from this post that I'm picking up is that OP is like a problem solver. You can't go up to the girl and be like, lay out an MLA formatted essay on everything that you need to get turned on. That's not how it works. It's more like, get dressed up in something nice tonight. We're gonna go out to dinner, romance her a little bit, buying flowers, and those little things build up to a better sex life. Maybe it says something about your guys' marriage. Maybe she thinks it's unfair that you're hawking the kids off on her and she's internalizing it, or maybe she's not attracted to you anymore and that marriage needs to end. This is the part where I was like, now the wife's not looking that great, because for you to be like, I don't want to have sex, but also I don't want you to be taking care of yourself to compensate for me not wanting to have sex with you. Something about that is weird. It just feels slimy. This part, on one hand, it kind of seems like OP's being like, I'm that fucking guy. Girls are coming on to me and I would never cheat. I'm that fucking guy. That's kind of the vibe that I was getting. But I also think it's very self-aware for him to be like, hey, I'm feeling this way. I would never cheat, but I feel this way because of everything happening. And I don't like that. I think that's okay. And then everything in this paragraph, girl, homeboy is trying to find a way to work with this, and you're doing everything in your power to make sure that doesn't happen. What are we doing? If I'm doing the Reddit thing where I'm reading into this, it almost feels like she's trying to maybe like force him to divorce her by doing everything that she can, however I can make it so that you are the bad guy. That's what it feels like to me. From this post, I'm more on OP's side than anything. Am I the a-hole for lying about having a girlfriend to sleep with somebody? There's this girl girl I know who's really hot and has a kink for guys cheating on their girlfriends with her. I don't know her that well since I've been texting her for a week. I've been trying to flirt with her, but her responses to me have been very so-so. So I had an idea. I would pretend to have a girlfriend and tell her I was attracted to her and unable to resist her. I figured if I played into her kink, I might be more attractive to her. To pull this off, I explained the situation to a female friend of mine who I'm close with. She and I have photos together. So I asked for permission to say she's my girlfriend and to use said photos as photos of my girlfriend. My friend thought the idea was really funny and agreed. Damn, what a homie, bro. What a homegirl to just be like, yo, bro, you get your fucking nut. I pretended to have a breakdown and feel guilty to the aforementioned girl about being so tempted to cheat on my girlfriend with her, and it worked amazingly. I told the story to my friends because I thought it was funny, and most of them agreed, but one said I'm the a-hole for lying to someone to sleep with them, and says that in no situation is that acceptable. Listen, bro, if this girl wasn't a piece of shit, I would agree with you. Yeah, so like my kink is to ruin other people's lives. Yeah, bro, let that bitch get hit by a bus. I don't give a fuck. The player got played. That is the universe bestowing karma on this absolute piece of shit human being. Was it maybe not the most ethical thing in the world? Sure, man. But I'm here for it. Do it again. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my fiance by saying that just because we are getting married does not entitle him to my inheritance? I, 32 female, recently got engaged to my partner, 35 male, just a year ago. As of right now, we have been together for 5 years, and our wedding is planned for May 2025. I am just going to get straight into it. Unfortunately, only a couple weeks after our engagement, my Nana passed away. The reason for it, I will not disclose. My Nana and Grandpa worked extremely hard throughout their lives, were very successful, educated, and had really high-paying jobs. They were very restricted on spending money young, and so they lived their elderly years with lots of it. Worth noting, my grandpa is a very, very intelligent man, and he's very smart with money and investments, so when I say lots, I do mean lots. My Nana wrote a hugely generous sum of money into her will that was to be inherited by me, my brother, and my 3 cousins. Even after the money was divided up, there was still thousands to each of our names. I also won't disclose the exact amount. When I heard the news, I told my fiance and he was incredibly overjoyed, much more than I expected him to be. I went along with it and shrugged it off until later in the day, I heard him on the game with his mate saying, I can pay my credit card off with that money, mate. We can finally get that boy's holiday we've been planning, eh? And laughing. I walked in the room and asked, what money? He immediately looked at me funny and said, from your nan, babe. I immediately exploded on him and said, you won't be paying anything off without my permission, and there most certainly will be no boy's holiday. It's not your money to have. It's written to me from my Nana. It's not for you. We had a huge shouting match and I left the room upset. He later got off the game and found me in the kitchen where he scolded me again and said, we are getting married. You will become my financial burden. Any money you take in is mine also. It was incredibly selfish of you to make such a fool out of me in front of my friends and giving them false hope of a holiday. Again, worth noting, it wasn't me who said anything about a holiday, and where I become a financial burden, I don't know, considering I am in a very good job and don't want children. I left the house without saying a word and am typing this at my friend's house right now. I forgot to mention that this incident has literally just happened. The reason my fiance only just found out is because until now, even I didn't know if the money was coming to me or not due to several family and court complications. I mean, not the a-hole. Like, even if the fiance's assumption was innocent and it was just like, oh my goodness, like your money is my money, OP would still not be in the wrong. It's just icing on the cake that this man is an extremely big piece of shit. Don't marry him. Clearly, this guy has a very negative understanding of how money plays into the relationship between him and OP, and that is not okay. Am I the a-hole? Told my wife she couldn't talk to specific guy friend anymore. Friend ends up getting killed. My wife has a male friend that she has known for most of her life, I believe roughly 15 years. For the most part, I never had an issue. One day, she is showing me something she thought was funny in their chat. As she was scrolling, I noticed a picture of her pants down while she was in the restroom. I told her I do not like that and she shouldn't be talking to this friend anymore. Had a long argument over this. I actually ended up leaving to my mother's house for about a week. We finally talk again. She agrees that it was not something that should have happened and she will no longer speak to him. About a year later, she gets a call. Her friend and friend's mom was shot by his father-in-law. Now she is screaming at me saying I should have let her be a better friend and that I ruined her friendship over nothing. Damn. Edit. This was about 6 months ago and on the picture, I can't really say if it was sexual or not, to be completely honest. Only because they were friends for a long time, but it was a picture of her backside towards the mirror with only a t-shirt and underwear. And the message directly under said, can you see the hole? She said it was about a hole in her undies. That would definitely cross a line with me. Unless it's your doctor or very gay friend, you should not be sending that to anyone other than me. If I'm dating a girl, that's suspicious. Just a series of unfortunate events on this one, but not the a-hole. If you're gonna have a guy best friend, you need to make sure that boundary is hard set and there is nothing suspicious happening on that front. Am I the a-hole for feeling upset over my husband's choice of female streamers? Last night, I stumbled upon something that's left me feeling quite upset and confused. I walked into our study/spare room to find my husband watching a kick stream. The streamer, a woman, was scantily clad and engaging with her viewers in a very flirtatious manner. What really caught my attention wasn't just the visual, but the chat on the side where I saw my husband actively participating, asking her to do specific poses, which she did. I confronted him immediately, asking what exactly he was watching and why he was interacting in such a way. He seemed caught off guard, quickly closed the tab and brushed it off as nothing serious, just a random stream he clicked on, but I clearly could see it was not gaming. I expressed how uncomfortable and hurt I felt, not just by the content, but by his active involvement in it. His response was defensive, accusing me of overreacting and trying to control his online habits. The argument that followed was intense. He claimed his online activities shouldn't be a concern and that I was blowing things out of proportion. I tried to explain that it wasn't about controlling him, but about feeling disrespected by how he was engaging with other women online, especially in such a public and demeaning manner. We've barely spoken since the argument. I'm torn between feeling like I should respect his online privacy and feeling deeply unsettled by his actions. It's not just the fact that he was watching a stream that bothers me, but his participation in it and the nature of his requests. So I'm turning to y'all for some outside help/thoughts. Am I the a-hole for feeling upset over my husband's interactions with a female streamer? Is it reasonable for me to expect him to consider my feelings about this kind of online behavior, or am I overstepping boundaries by getting upset over what he watches and how he engages with it? This is such a good question about like how the internet plays into relationships and what is too far in a relationship. He's interacting with another person in a sexual way rather than just watching someone I don't like that. Is it like sexual poses? I think she would have specified that. It must be one of those like e-girls that like does the like, I don't know. I can't fucking do that shit. I think the wife has a right to be like, that makes me uncomfortable and I don't like it. But I also think the husband has a right, if it's nothing sexual, if he's not giving her money or like trying to hit on her in her DMs or something like that. I don't know. Until they break that barrier, is this better or worse than the husband watching porn? To me, it's worse for a guy to be watching other girls and jerking off to it versus being in a stream and just being like, this is the pose that I want you to strike. I think I need to know more about the substance of the streams and if this goes deeper for the husband. Of course, it's sexual. You're probably right. I'm just trying to argue for like, based off the information that we were given, there is a possibility where like maybe the husband is not malicious. I'm not sitting here and dying on the hill that like OP's boyfriend is not in the wrong in any way, shape, or form. I want to die on the hill of like, there is a scenario where OP's boyfriend isn't doing anything wrong. Is that scenario very likely? Probably not. I'd love to know what part he thinks you're overreacting to. She even wrote his screen name on her body. All right, so my boy's innocence is slowly diminishing. Oh Lord, so he's likely paying her too. What does that mean? She wouldn't just do that for free. He's paying for that. Yeah, so my benefit of the doubt isn't really working here. Am I the a-hole for refusing to donate my kidney to my dying sister because she bullied me throughout my childhood and never apologized? I, 28 female, am in a really tough spot right now, and I need some honest opinions. My sister, 30 female, has been battling kidney failure for the past year, and her doctors have informed us that she urgently needs a transplant to survive. Here's the thing. Growing up, my sister made my life a living hell. She constantly belittled me, called me names, and even physically bullied me. It was relentless, and it left me with deep emotional scars that I still carry to this day. Despite all the pain she caused me, I've tried to forgive her and move on, but she's never once apologized or shown any remorse for her actions. Now, with her life hanging in the balance, my family is pressuring me to donate one of my kidneys to her. They say it's the only chance she has, and that I would be heartless to refuse, but I can't shake the feeling of resentment towards her. Why should I sacrifice a part of myself for someone who never showed me an ounce of kindness? kindness or compassion. I know it sounds selfish, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I don't think the sister deserves the kidney, but I do think OP needs to take the high road here because someone's life is on the line. In no way, shape, or form is the way that she was bullied okay. I think there is a way that you can take the high road and make the sister understand, hey, I'm gonna do this, but like, I'm doing this for myself more than you because honestly, I hate you. You gave me emotional scars that to this day, at the age of 28, I still haven't gotten rid of. And I need you to know before I give you this kidney that you're a piece of shit for not ever apologizing. I'm not asking you to like get on your knees and beg because then it's not sincere, but just know that I almost didn't do this because of how you treated me as a child. If you don't give your kidney to this person and then they die, I think that's going to weigh on OP very heavily. I don't even think this is like, are you an a-hole type of situation? If you're looking for more messy Reddit stories, click the link at the top of the description or the videos popping up on screen right now. The members of our community love these videos and I'm sure you'll enjoy them too.